Choosing the right type of food to put into long-term storage can be overwhelming, especially if you're just now starting out on that journey into preparedness. Do you choose dehydrated, powdered, or freeze-dried foods like these? They can be very expensive, nearly cost prohibitive, especially if you get those larger survival food kits. Dry foods like rice, beans, and wheat, they require you to repackage them. You got to have special equipment to do that repackaging. Mylar bags, oxygen absorbers, 5-gallon buckets, or something similar. And have the skills to know how to do it properly. But if you're looking for a cheaper, easier, more simple way to put food into long-term storage, then stick around. I'm going to show you how to do that. My name is Les, and I want to welcome you to the Cheffprepper channel, where we make videos that are worth your time. And in this video, we're going to look at the most simple and easiest way to ensure your family's long-term food security. Now, I want to give you several reasons why you should consider canned food as the way to begin your long-term food storage rather than the expensive freeze-dried foods and powdered foods, and rather than foods that you have to get equipment and materials and repackage. One of the major selling points for the freeze-dried foods and those dry foods that you repackage is their longevity. But canned foods, if you store them properly, will keep nearly forever, just the same as those other types of foods. Canned food has a best buy date on it. That just simply means that the food in the can will be as good on that day or before as it was when it was put into the can. There's no magic timeline that the food goes bad. If you store it properly, it'll keep for decades. Here's one I just took off the shelf behind me. You can see on it the best buy date is October 27th, 2017. So when I got this can, that best buy date would have still have been a couple years or so out into the future. So I've had this can of soup approximately 10 years. When the time comes that me or my family need to eat something, and this is what we have, we won't throw this away. We'll check it to make sure nothing's wrong with it, and if it's not, someone will have soup for a meal. And speaking of cans of soup, a couple of years ago, I made this video in which I compared a way out-of-date can of soup to a brand new can of soup of the same brand and kind. And if you're interested in seeing a comparison of very old and very new soup, check that video out. The second reason that canned food is the best option to begin your long-term storage plan is there isn't any special equipment that's needed to store it. You don't need Mylar bags, oxygen absorbers, 5-gallon buckets, some type of heat sealer to seal the Mylar bags, or you don't need a vacuum sealer, you don't need mason jars to put things in, you don't need the food saver type bags to vacuum seal the food in. All you got to do is go to the grocery store, get it off of their shelf, put it on your shelf. When you find yourself in the midst of an emergency or a disaster or a long-term grid down scenario, you're going to need to spend your time providing safety for your family, watching over things, and you probably won't have time to cook gourmet meals from scratch. So reason number 3, canned food is the best place to start your long-term storage. Canned food is ready to eat right out of the can. Open it, you can eat it right now. Granted, sometimes you'll want to heat it, but when you don't have the time to do that, it's safe to eat right out of the can, unlike the other types of food that we put into long-term storage. The fourth reason to consider canned foods, you don't need to add water to them. That will let you save your drinking water that you have in storage. It will also potentially cut down on the amount of that drinking water that you need to drink because you will get some water, not a lot, but some, from your canned food. The other types of food, freeze-dried, dehydrated, powdered foods, the dry foods, all of those will require you to take water out of your stored water. Canned food won't. A fifth reason, canned food comes already insect and rodent proof. The other types of food, you may find insects in them eating your food, or they have already eaten the food. You also may find that rodents have been in your food, left their urine and their feces in your food. You don't have to worry about those things with the canned food. Reason number 6, canned foods come in a whole variety of ways. There's cans of single vegetables, single types of meat, fish, all kinds of beans, individual fruit, mixed fruit. But one really good thing about canned food, some of them are available with all the macronutrients, fats, protein, and carbs. like your beef stews, soups, pasta meals, and a whole host of other types of canned foods. And being that they have all three of the macronutrients and they're ready to eat, some of your canned foods are like getting MREs in a can. And if all that wasn't enough to consider canned food as the top priority when you begin your journey into long-term food storage, consider canned food is cheap and readily available. You don't have to order things in bulk, wait for it to be delivered, or go pick it up. Have the equipment on hand to repackage it, to protect it from light, from oxygen, from insects, from rodents. You don't have to spend a lot of money on freeze-dried foods or powdered foods. Being that canned food is readily available and relatively cheap, it is very well suited for budget prepping. You can get one can or as many cans as you want at one time. You just simply get it, put it on the shelf. So there are the reasons to focus on canned food for those of you who are just beginning on your prepping journey and starting to put food into long-term storage, or for anyone who just wants to add more long-term storage food quickly, easily, and cheaply. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have those other types of food. We have some of those here. What I am saying is that canned food is the easiest way to get started into long-term food storage when you're first starting out on your journey into preparedness.